If your neighborhood sounds like a war zone, you're in southern Lebanon. The streets are filled with the echoes of explosions, and the air is thick with the smell of smoke and dust. Families huddle together in basements, hoping for a moment of peace amidst the chaos. The once bustling markets and schools now stand empty, their walls scarred by shrapnel and bullets. Here's what you need to know about the escalating conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. This conflict, rooted in decades of tension and hostility, has reached a new peak, drawing the attention of the entire world. The stakes are higher than ever, with both sides showing no signs of backing down. The international community watches with bated breath, hoping for a resolution but fearing the worst. Israeli airstrikes have killed nearly 500 people and wounded 1,600 others in Lebanon, marking the deadliest day since 2006. Hospitals are overwhelmed, struggling to provide care to the injured. The scenes inside are heart-wrenching, with doctors and nurses working tirelessly amidst the chaos. Families search desperately for their loved ones, hoping to find them alive amidst the rubble. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has urged Lebanese civilians to evacuate areas targeted for strikes, emphasizing that Israel's conflict is with Hezbollah, not the people of Lebanon. He has reiterated that the safety of civilians is a priority, but the reality on the ground tells a different story. The mass exodus of people, carrying whatever they can, paints a grim picture of the human cost of this conflict. Israel and Hezbollah have engaged in tit-for-tat escalation since the Gaza conflict began. Rockets and missiles fly across the border, each side responding to the other's attacks with increasing ferocity. The cycle of violence seems unending, with each strike fueling further retaliation. The fear of an all-out war looms large, with both sides preparing for the worst. Israel's intensified attacks on Hezbollah have reignited fears of a broader regional war. The border areas are tense, with military forces on high alert. The possibility of the conflict spilling over into neighboring countries is a growing concern, with regional stability hanging in the balance. The international community is on edge, watching closely as the situation unfolds. The Israeli military is preparing for next phases, potentially including a ground invasion, while Hezbollah has vowed to continue fighting. The mobilization of troops and equipment signals a significant escalation, with both sides digging in for a prolonged conflict. The rhetoric from leaders on both sides is increasingly aggressive, leaving little room for hope of a peaceful resolution. The United States has deployed additional troops and naval assets to the region, aiming to support Israel and de-escalate tensions. The presence of U.S. forces is a clear signal of the seriousness of the situation, with the potential for American involvement adding another layer of complexity. The goal is to deter further escalation, but the risk of miscalculation remains high. Diplomatic efforts by the U.S., Qatar, and Egypt are in full swing to prevent a wider conflict. High-level meetings and negotiations are taking place behind closed doors, with diplomats working tirelessly to find a path to peace. The stakes are incredibly high, with the potential for a broader regional war driving the urgency of these efforts. Qatar and Egypt have strongly condemned the Israeli strikes, warning of the risk of an expanded regional war. Their statements reflect the deep concern felt across the region, with leaders calling for restraint and a return to dialogue. The fear of a wider conflict is palpable, with the potential for devastating consequences driving calls for immediate action. France has requested an emergency UN Security Council meeting, calling for de-escalation and protection of civilians. The international community is rallying to address the crisis, with calls for a ceasefire growing louder. The UN's involvement underscores the global significance of the conflict, with the potential for far-reaching implications if it continues to escalate. Lebanese civilians are fleeing en masse as their homes are destroyed. The scenes of families leaving everything behind, carrying only what they can, are heart-wrenching. The humanitarian crisis is deepening, with thousands of people in desperate need of aid and shelter. The international community is mobilizing to provide support, but the scale of the crisis is overwhelming. Videos from southern Lebanon show widespread devastation, with buildings reduced to rubble and smoke filling the sky. The scale of the destruction is staggering, with entire neighborhoods wiped out. The impact on the civilian population is immense, with countless lives disrupted and communities torn apart. The images are a stark reminder of the human cost of this conflict. Families driven by fear and uncertainty are taking refuge in makeshift shelters, hoping for safety. The conditions in these camps are dire, with limited access to food, water, and medical care. The sense of desperation is palpable, with people clinging to hope amidst the uncertainty. The international community is working to provide aid, but the needs are immense. This conflict is not just a regional issue, it has global implications. The ripple effects are being felt around the world, with economic, political, and security concerns driving international responses. The potential for a broader conflict is a major concern, with the stability of the entire region at stake. The world is watching closely, hoping for a resolution but preparing for the worst. The international community is calling for immediate action to prevent further bloodshed and to work towards a peaceful resolution. Protests and demonstrations are taking place around the world, with people demanding an end to the violence. World leaders are engaging in high-level talks, seeking a path to peace. The urgency of the situation is clear, with the potential for further escalation driving calls for immediate action. Stay informed and stay safe. The situation is fluid, with new developments occurring rapidly. It's crucial to stay updated on the latest news and to be aware of the potential risks. The international community is working tirelessly to address the crisis, but the path to peace is fraught with challenges. This situation is developing rapidly, and every update counts. The world is watching, and the stakes are incredibly high. The hope is for a peaceful resolution, but the reality on the ground is complex and challenging. Stay tuned for the latest updates as we continue to monitor this critical situation.